Okay, in this webcast, we're going to continue our tutorials here on JavaScript. What we're going to look at here is some more event-driven programming. We've looked on the on-click event. We're going to look at the on-change event, and finally, we're going to look at functions. Okay, so I have here on the screen, I already started a kind of a framework for this example. We have this example 5.6 here. I did put a little script in. My name's in there with some comments and today's date, etc. I also have a form started here. So let me go down to form and let's look at a new event here. We're going to look at the on-change event. All right, so I'm going to create here a new text box. Input type equals text. I won't put a value in here, but let's give this a name. And I'm going to give this one the name textbox1. And I'm going to give it an event too to work with here. I'm going to call it the on-change event. So when it changes, I'm going to send up a message box. In that message box, I'll just say that our value has changed. Okay, put one more text box in. Let's do this. Let's use some copy and paste here rather than recopy everything. Alright, here we're going to call this one, let's get rid of the on-change event because we don't need that. And this will be text box 2. Here we never closed our tag. Alright, so let's try that. See what happens here. So I'll save that. Call this up here, refresh, and I got two text boxes here. Well, we better put one more line in here just so we can see what's going on here. Let's at the top of our form put a header. Okay, now watch what happens when I put a value in here. Put the value 45, and I'm going to hit tab to go to the next field so that this particular box has changed. Whoops, we got a typo there. We got some kind of error. Let's go back and take a look at it. Here's our problem here. I have message box. I got a couple errors here. One, get a message box out there. What is it? It's prompt, isn't it? Okay, let's try that, and then let's use the other single quotes here to identify the difference between, we'll put double quotes here and single quotes in there, signify a difference. Let's try this now again. Okay, so I refreshed it. Let me change the value here. I'm going to put 1 in. Okay, see the value's changed now. Actually, I used a prompt here to get some information back in. Okay. So anyways, there is the on-change event. Let's demonstrate some other things here. We'll leave the on-change event in there for the time being, but I'm going to have it do absolutely nothing here to start with. And then we'll roll all this into an actual working piece of software here. Let's hit a carriage return here, down next line. Let's put a button in. And this particular button, give it a name, button 1. And what we want it to do is, we'll put an on-click event here. we want it to change our values. Let's have it do nothing to start with here. Let me refresh this, and I got my button. It seems to work okay. So let me give it a value. Now what I'm going to ask it to do is every time I hit that button that it resets the values here. So as I reload this, whatever value I left in there stays in there unless I go back and change it. And it'd be nice here to have a button somewhere in here that sets these back to 0 or back to you know, a default value. And I'm going to do that using a function. So let me go back over my code. And functions allow me to encapsulate code, reuse it, and really it becomes helpful in my HTML document to separate my JavaScript code from my HTML tags. In fact, it's a common practice to even take your JavaScript and put it in a separate file and just call upon certain routines or certain functions out of that. Let me show you how to put together a function here. So I'm going to go up to my script. Give myself a little room here. I'm going to create a new function. In a function, I start out with the term function there, and this function is going to be called reset underscore values. Okay, and any parameters I want to send up with a function, I put inside as variables inside the brackets here, or inside the parentheses. Okay, so to start my function, start with an open bracket, then I close the bracket. And again, a function's like a subroutine. Anything that's going to happen in there is going to execute between these two brackets. All right. In this particular example, what we're trying to do is reset these text boxes. All right. So I'm going to take text box 1 and change its value to just reset it. Okay. And by not putting anything in there, I'll just put quotation mark, quotation mark. Here's text box 2 and its value, and do the same thing. Okay. Now before I finish this, I need to kind of elaborate on one other detail here. Okay, I need to refer to this as its full name. All right, so this is in the document I'm working with, and it's in form 1 where we'll find this. So I really and we looked at absolute values already in a variety of other different situations. So we need to refer to this using what you might think of as your absolute value, or its fully documented name. Okay, so this is in my document. And the name of my form, I could have my form called something else, but right here we have it as form 1. I need to do the same for text box 2. Okay, I'm going to save those and let's see if we did this correctly. I'll refresh. Now when I hit reset, it should reset the values here. So the 1 and the 5 should disappear. Not quite. What did we forget to do? We forgot to link up we have this function here, but we don't call upon it. So we need to link it up down here on our button. So on the click, what do we want to do? We have an on-click event, and when we click this, we want to reset our values, or we call upon the function we've created, reset value. So I'll save that. Take a look at it now. Okay, now my values are reset. So I put a number in here. Okay, here's on change. That number's changed, and all I'm going to do is hit my tab key and move to the next text box. Okay, so something's changed there. And I can reset. All right. Let's put something back in on change. Let's send an alert this time. Put my number in here and tab the value change. I put in over here, tab, nothing happens because we don't have an on change event here. Now this particular object here, this button, resets. Okay. Alright, so quick review here. We introduced some more event-driven programming here. We revisited the on-click event. We introduced the on-change event. And then we also introduced the idea of putting a function that we can call upon at a later time.